Hello everyone, this is Yamin, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you everything about HTML from the very beginning. So if you are a beginner, then this is the perfect tutorial for you because I'm going to start from the very beginning and I'll show you everything in a simple and easy way. So first of all, I'm going to show you how you can create a HTML file. First of all, let me just go to my folder and let me go to my new volume D. And here I'm going to create a folder. Let's say the folder name will be my HTML. So I'll just right click here, then click on new, then click on folder. So my folder name will be, let's say, my HTML. Let me just give a underscore here, then press enter. So right now I have created a folder called my HTML. So inside this folder, I'm going to create a HTML file. So right now we are going to go to our Windows search option. Here you can see, and here we're going to search for Notepad. So every laptop or PC has Notepad installed by default. So just search for Notepad and click on Notepad. Then it will open something like this. Let me just make it bigger. And right now here I'm going to click on this file option. Then click here, save as. Then I'm going to go to the folder where I just created my folder called my HTML. So I'll go to my new volume D and my folder name was my HTML, which is this one. Here you can see my HTML. I'll just select this and then click here called open. So once you click on open, here you can see currently we are in the folder location. So here we're going to say a file name. So you can give it anything you want. Let's say here home.html. Now for HTML, the extension always will be .html. And one more thing, that is here you can see save as type. Make sure that you choose all files. Then click on save. And also click on save, here you can see we have home.html. And right now if we just go to my folder and if we go inside, so here you can see it is written over here home.html, and by default it will choose your default browser. For my case it is Google Chrome, that's why it choose the Chrome browser. So right now if we just double click here, it will open in Google Chrome, and here you can see the file location and there is nothing because in our notepad we write nothing. So in HTML we have some structure to write our code. So first of all, we need to write HTML opening, then we have HTML closing. So let me just zoom in. So here every HTML tag has an opening and a closing. So this is called opening and this is called closing. So inside HTML we have a few parts like head section, title section and body section. So the first section is head section. So we write head opening, then we'll write head closing like this. So this is called opening, head opening, and this is called head closing. So after head we have the body. So we'll say here body opening and the body closing. So inside the body we write our HTML code. So right now here if we say h on opening and h on closing, h on means header tag. So whatever we write inside this h1 tag, it will show us a big text because h1 means header. So let's say here my first HTML code. So right now we need to save this, and in order to save this, here you can see file option. Just click on file and then click on save. You can also save this by clicking on Ctrl+S. And one more thing I would like to mention is that every time you make some changes in your code, you need to make sure that you save your file by pressing Ctrl+S. And if you do not save it, then you won't be able to see the changes in the browser. So make sure that whatever changes you make in the code editor, make sure every time you save it before you refresh your browser. Okay. So right now, if we now save this, then refresh here, it will show my first HTML code with a bold and bigger letter. Let me just make it look like this. Like this. So here this header tag has 6 version: H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 and up until H6. Let me just show you. Let me just copy this and I'm going to say here H2 tag. This will be H2. So H2 is a little bit smaller. If I now just refresh here, there you can see it is a little bit smaller. So the same way we can write the H3 tag, H4, H5 and H6. So let me just write it one by one. H3, then this will be H4, then we'll say here H5 and H6 is the last one. So here we're going to say H6. If we now say this and if we now refresh here, there you can see the letter goes smaller. H6 is the most smallest. So those are the basic tag. So right now here you can see at the top we have home.html, but we do not want to show this. We want to show something else like a title. So here I'm going to say title opening, then we'll say here title closing. So inside this title opening and closing, we're going to say, let's say my HTML. If we now say this and if we now refresh, here you can see at the top we have my HTML. Previously it was, let me just show you, let me just cut this, save it, refresh. Previously it was home.html, but if we keep the title here and give a text inside the title, then refresh, it will change to my HTML, whatever you write over here. Okay, so that was title. So right now we're going to talk about some other tag for writing our text. So after H1 tag we have few more tag, and that is the P tag. So P tag opening and P tag closing. So let's say here some random text. Let's say this is my first tutorial on HTML and I like this. If we now set this and refresh here, it will show us like this. So if we just copy this P tag and paste it here, then save again, then refresh, it will show us in different line. But if we add the same text inside the same P tag like this, then refresh here, it will show us in a single line. But if we keep it inside different P tag, then it will go in different line. Now let's say you want to make a certain text bold. For example, you want to make this first tutorial on HTML, this part bold. So for it, what you can do is that you just need to mention the B tag opening and the B tag closing like this. If you just say this, B tag opening and B tag closing, and whatever text you have inside it will be bold. If we now refresh here, there you can see this text is bold. And also if you want to make this italic, let's say you want this tutorial part to be italic, then you can just write over here I opening, then here you can say I closing. If we now save this, then refresh, there you can see the tutorial become italic. Okay, let me just make a bigger portion italic. Let's say from here, this is my, so the italic tag started from here and it ended over here. So right now if we save, then refresh, there you can see this is my first tutorial on HTML. Up until tutorial it become italic. Let me just zoom in here. Here you can see it become italic. So right now let me just talk about one more tag, and that is called div tag. So let me just remove those B tag and I tag from here. So here let me just copy this and paste it few more time. So here you can see we have some text inside a P tag. If we now save and refresh, there you can see it is in the same line. But if we add the div tag somewhere, then it will consider that section as a different section. For example, here let me just add a div here, div opening, and this div will close over here. We'll say here div closing. So let me just write it like this so that you can read it properly. So our P tag started here and ended here, and our div tag started here and it ended here. So since we use div, so it will consider this part as a different section, so it will go on different line. If we now refresh, there you can see it go on different line. So right now there is a space or gap over here. So those are some tag to write our text. So right now I'm going to show you how we can show image in HTML. So let me just save this, refresh here. There you can see it is empty. So in order to show a image, first of all, what I am going to do is, let me just go to my folder. Over here you can see inside my HTML folder, I only have home.html. So right now what I am going to do is that inside this my HTML folder, I am going to keep a image. So I have a image over here in my picture. So here I'm going to choose, let's say, this image on.png. So I'm just going to copy this and I will paste it inside my HTML folder. So I'll just paste it here. So here you can see our image name is image on.png. So in order to show image inside a HTML, what we need to do is that we need to use the image tag. And the image tag doesn't have any closing tag. So we are going to say here source equal to, and here you can see our images inside our my HTML folder. So make sure that your image is inside your HTML folder and our image name is image on.png. So I'm going to say here image on.png. Make sure that the image name and extension both are same. Exactly you have over here. Okay, let me just zoom in a little bit. Here you can see image on.png. So right now if we just save this here and if we now refresh, there you can see we have the image here, but the image size is too big, so we can make it smaller. So how can we make it smaller? So here we are going to say width equal to, it will be, let's say, 200, and height it will be 200 as well. If we now set this, then refresh here, there you can see the image height and width changed. If we say here 100 height and 100 width, save it and refresh, there you can see our image size changed. And make sure that every time you save the file before you refresh the browser. And one more thing I would like to mention, and that is, let me just go to my folder. So here, let's say our image is inside a folder. So let me just create a folder here. I'll just right click, then click on new, then folder. Let's say the folder name will be images. And inside this images folder, I'm going to keep this image. Here you can see image on.png. So right now we do not have the image directly inside our my HTML folder. It is inside the images folder. So right now if we save this, then refresh here, it will show us a broken image, because right now our image is inside the images folder. So in order to show the image, this time we need to mention the images folder here. So let me just say here images, then slash here, like this. So you need to say images slash image on.png. If we now save, then refresh here, there you can see right now we are able to see the image. So if your image is inside a folder, make sure to mention the folder name inside the source as well. And there is one more thing I would like to show for image, and that is the ALT tag. So if we just say here ALT, and here why we need to use ALT? Let's say you somehow deleted the image from the folder, so the image is missing, so we should show a message that image is missing or something like that, or image not found. Let's say here image not found. So if we now save this, then refresh, nothing will happen. But let's say we make the spelling mistake here. Instead of image on, let's say here image 5. So image 5 do not exist in our image folder, so it will show us a message that image not found. If we now save, then refresh, there you can see it is showing us a message that image not found. So this was image tag. So after image tag, I'm going to show you the video tag, how you can use or add video in HTML. So right now I'm just going to remove this image tag, or let's just keep it. So here we're going to say video and it is the same as image. So inside this video, we're going to say here source equal to double quotation, and inside this source, we need to give our video location. So here, let me just go to my folder and I'll go to my downloads, and here I have a video here. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. So right now I have a video called view.mp4. So what we need to do is that here in the source, we need to say here view.mp4. Just exactly like our image, we need to make sure our name, video name, and the video type matches with our file name. Here you can see view.mp4. So right now, if we just save this, then refresh here, there you can see it will show us like this. So we are able to see the video, but it is too big and there is no way for us to play the video. So we need to fix it. So here, just like image, we are going to say here width and height. So let's see here, width equal to 100, and we're going to say here height equal to, it will be 100 as well. Save, then refresh here. There you can see currently we're able to see the video, but we cannot play it. So in order to play it, we need to say here controls, like this. You need to say here controls. So if we now save, then refresh here. So here you can see we are able to see our video. So I think we need to increase the video height and width, because for video 100 height and width is too small. So I'm going to say here width 200 and height will be 200. Let me save it, then refresh, and there you can see currently we are able to play the video. There you can see, let me just make it bigger. There you can see we are able to play the video. So let's say we want to have our video to be mute by default. So for it, we just need to say here muted. If we now save, then refresh, there you can see right now we have a muted sign here for our sound. So we are able to add our video, and the same as image, if your video is inside different folder, then you need to mention the folder name as well, and you can also add ALT for video as well. So after video, let me just talk about anchor tag. So what is anchor tag? Anchor tag means when you click on a certain link, it will take us to a different page. For example, here we write anchor tag like this. The anchor tag started like this and it ended like this. And inside the anchor tag, we need to write something. Let's say from home.html, we want to go to about.html. So we can say here about, and let's say here about. If we now save it, then refresh here, it is only showing us about. So here, in order to make this clickable, we can say here href equal to double quotation. We're going to say here about.html. So right now, if we save, then refresh, there you can see right now it is clickable. And if you click here, it will show that your file location could not be accessed because there is no about.html inside our my HTML folder. So here we are going to create about.html file. So for it, I'm just going to click here file, then click on new tab, and then here I'm going to click on file again, then click on save as. After that, I'll go to my HTML folder location, then I'm going to say here about.html, and here make sure to choose all files and then click on save. So right now here you can see we have about.html, and if we go to our folder location, here you can see we have about.html. So make sure that our extension is .html. So here, since we write over here about.html, so right now whenever we click on this about option, it will take us to this page. But there is nothing inside this page. So let me just say here simple HTML opening, then HTML closing. After that, let's have a head section opening, then head section closing. Then inside the head section, we're going to say here title opening and title closing. Let's say here about page. Let's say about page, and we are going to say here body opening, then body closing. For this body closing, inside the body, I'm just going to say here for now h1 tag, and we're going to say my about page, and we also need to close the h1 tag. So let me just save it. So right now what will happen, whenever someone click on this about option, then it will take us to this page which is about.html, and in the about.html we only write my about page. So right now if we click on about, okay, I think, okay, there is an error. I made a spelling mistake here. It will be title. So let me save it again, then refresh, and there you can see it shows my about page. So let's say from this about page we want to go to home.html. So how can we do it? Again, here we can add the anchor tag opening, then anchor tag closing, and inside the anchor tag I can just say here home, and inside this anchor tag we are going to say here href. Href means we are basically saying that whenever someone click on this option, just go to this link or go to this page. So our page name is home.html. So we are going to say here home.html. Let me save it, refresh, and there you can see we have a home option. So right now if we click on home, it will take us here. Okay, let me just say here h1. Let's say this is my home page. h1 closing, save it, refresh. There you can see this is my home page. Click on about, it will take us here, and if we click on home again, on this home option, it will take us to the home page. Now there is one more thing I'd like to mention, and that is, let's say by clicking on a link, you want to go to a website, let's say youtube.com or google.com or facebook.com, whatever. So you can do it by using the anchor tag. So here I'm going to mention the anchor tag opening, then anchor tag closing, and let's say here YouTube, and here we're going to say href equal to double quotation, and inside this double quotation we're going to say this, we need to mention https://www.youtube.com. make sure to add http and www. Okay, after that if we save this, then if we now refresh here, there you can see we have one more option called YouTube. And right now if we now click on YouTube, it will take us to youtube.com. There you can see it's reloading, and it took us to the youtube.com. There you can see. And currently I am not connected with the internet, that's why it is showing us you are offline. And one more thing, let me just go back. Let's say when you click on YouTube, we want this YouTube to open in a new tab. So how can we do it? So for it, you need to say here target equal to double quotation, we need to say here underscore blank. When you say target underscore blank equal to blank, it means it will open in a different tab. Let me just show you. If we now save this, refresh here and click on YouTube, there you can see it is opening in a new tab. You can also do the same thing for the pages as well, for about page or home page. Let me just go back, and here let me just copy this, and we can just paste it for the about.html as well. If you now save this, then refresh here and click on about, there you can see it open in a new tab. But if we click on this home option, it will open in the same page because there is no target blank here. If you add the target blank here, let me just go to the about page and click on home, there you can see it open in a new tab. So let me just close all those. So right now I'm going to show you how you can use an image as an anchor tag. So for example, let me just remove those from here. So here I'm going to say anchor tag opening. Okay, let me just add the image tag first. Let's say image tag, and in the source we are going to say the image location, our images inside a folder called images slash our image demos image on.png. Let me just add the height and width. Let's say here width, it will be 100 and height, it will be 100 as well. Save, then refresh here. There you can see we have the image. So right now what we want is that when we click on this image, we want to go to the about.html. So for it, what you need to do is really simple. Just before the image tag, we are going to mention the anchor tag, and the anchor tag will int after the image tag like this. And here for this anchor tag, we are going to say here href equal to, it will be our about.html. So if we say here about.html, it means whenever someone click on the image, it will take us to about.html. Let me save. Let me refresh here. So right now here you can see our image become clickable. Whenever we take our cursor on the image, it will show us a hand sign. If we click on the image, it will take us to the about page. Again, let me click on the image. There you can see it took us to the about page. So right now I'm going to show you how you can create a table in HTML. So here I'm going to mention a table tag, opening, then we'll say here table tag, closing. So inside a table tag, let me just save, refresh here. There you can see it is empty right now. So in a table, we have some table header and table row. So first of all, we need to mention the table header. So for table header, we need to say here th opening, then th closing. Now th means table header, and we need to keep this th inside a table row. So first of all, we need to mention the table row here. Table row opening, then table row closing. Row means this, like a straight line, and column means this on the downside. Okay. So here we are going to set table header. Let's say it will be first name, then it will be, let's say, email, and let's say this one will be age. So right now if we save, then refresh here, it will show us like this, name, email, age. So we have the table header right now. So right now we need to have a data for each table header. And also I'd like to mention that it still doesn't look like a table, but we'll make it look like a table. Just wait a little bit. So this tier will be for the table header. So right now we're going to add another tier or table row for our table data. So here I'm going to mention the table row here again, and table row closing. So inside this, we're going to have our table data for name, email, and age. So here we're going to set TD. TD means table data. So we're going to say here TD opening and TD closing. So let me just copy this and paste it 2 times. We have total number of 3 table headers. So we have total number of 3 table data. So let's say the name will be John, email will be john@gmail.com, and let's say age will be 23. If we now save, then refresh, it will show us like this. So let's say you have multiple data for this table. So how can we add multiple data? So here you can see we have table row for this table data. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it here, and instead of John, I'm going to say here Adam, email will be adam@gmail.com, and age will be 26. For each table data, we need to add table row again and some table data like this. So if we now refresh here, there you can see. So still it doesn't look like a table. So how can we make it look like a table? So here you can see we have the table tag. So inside the table tag, we are going to say here order equal to, it will be, let's say, on px solid black. If we now save, then refresh, so there you can see it currently looks like a table. But if you want to increase the border size, the table border size, what you can do is that here you can see on px. So instead of on px, we can say for px. If you now refresh, there you can see it will look like this. So there you can see our table looks like this. So if you want to add more data, just copy the tr tag with the td tag and then just paste it here. You can say different name here this time. Let's say it will be Yamin. Email will be yamin@gmail.com. Age will be 26. That's fine. If we refresh, there you can see there is on more data. So you can add as many data as you want. So this was table in HTML. So after table, I'm going to show you how you can show input field in HTML. So let me just remove the table tag from here. And make sure that you are following me and also practicing with me as well. This way everything will be clear to you. So after table, I'm going to talk about input field. So for writing the input field, we need to say here from opening, then from closing. Inside the from tag, we always write our input field. So here, let me just show you the first input field. Let's say here input, let's say type will be text, and we need to give double quotation here. Then we need to say here text, and each input field has a name. So name will be, let's say it will be name. So right now if we set this, then refresh here, there you can see we have an input field and we can write whatever we want. And if you want to show the user that what type of input goes over here, for that case you can say here placeholder equal to, let's say here write your name. If we now refresh here, it will say write your name, and if you write anything, it will be gone. So this was input type text, and we should show a label that this is an input field for writing your name. So for it, we can say here label tag. So label opening, then label closing. So inside the label, we're going to say your name. If we now refresh here, it will show your name. So this is a normal input field. Let's say you want an input field for email address. How can we write the input field for email address? That is really simple. Let me just copy this label and also the input field, and we're going to paste it here. And let's say here stop your name, it will be email, and here for email that type will be email, not text. So here we're going to say name equal to email, and placeholder will be write your email. If we now set this, then refresh here, it will show us like this. So here we can use div tag. So div tag will separate those things as a different section. So here before this label, we're going to mention a div opening, and here we're going to say here div closing. So the same way we are going to add div for the email as well. So let me say here div opening, then div closing. If we now save this, then refresh, there you can see it will look like this. And if you want to add a space among those input field, you can use a br tag. Br tag means line break. So we write it like this, closing br. Br tag doesn't have any opening. If we now save, then refresh, there you can see right now there is some space. And here inside this email input field, you can only input your email. And here it will show us the option or some suggestion to write our email address. So after email, let me show you how you can get the input field for password. So let me just copy this div with the br tag, paste it here, and let's say here password. And for password, the type will be password. The name will be, let's just say here pass. You can give the name anything you want. And let's say here only password. If we now save this, then refresh here, there you can see we have one more input field called password, and whatever we write over here, it will not show us the text. Whatever we write, it will only show us the dot for security reason. So this is the input field for password. So right now I'm going to show you one more tag called select. So let me just copy this and paste it here. So here this time stop label, I'm going to say here select gender. And since we are talking about select tag, it is a little bit different than input field. So here we need to say here select opening, then select closing, and inside the select we need to say here option. Let's say here option opening, then option closing. Let me just copy this 2 times. So here we are going to say male, and this one will be female. And inside select, okay, I need to close this. And inside select tag, we need to mention a name. Let's say name equal to, it will be gender. If we now set this, then refresh here, it will show us two options, male and female. And since we write over here male, so here we need to mention a value here. Value equal to, it will be male. And here we are going to say value, it will be female. Save it, then refresh, and this time, okay, value equal to female. Save it, and if we now refresh here, there you can see we have two more options, and if we choose female or male, then the value for the select will be female. So right now, since this is a form, and normally when we give a input field, we have a submit button or login button or sign up button, whatever, right? So what we are going to do is that I'm just going to copy this div again, the password div with the beer tag, then paste it here. And instead of password, okay, there will be no label for the submit button. So this time we are going to say input type, it will be submit. There will be no name. So right now, if we save it, then refresh here, there you can see we have a submit button. And right now, let me just make it bigger. If we click on submit, there you can see name equal to null, email equal to null, password null, gender equal to male. By default, it will choose the gender male. I'll explain this part later. First of all, let me just give some entry here. And let's say password. And right now, since we give some input, and if we now click on submit, there you can see name equal to Yamin, and email equal to user@gmail.com, password is showing here, and gender equal to male. So let me just change it over here. So by default, it will always choose the male. So let me just have one more option here, which will be empty. Option opening, then option closing, and we're going to say here select a option. So right now, if we refresh here, there you can see it says select a option. So there is one more issue. If someone did not fill any of those input field and click on submit, he is able to submit. So we should show a message that you should give your name, email, password, and every other data. So for it, what you need to do is really simple. Here you can see in the input type text, we just need to say here required. So we are just going to say here required equal double quotation. If we now save this, then refresh here, and if we now click on submit button, it will say please fill in this field. So I'm going to add the required field for email and password, email, password, and for gender as well. So for gender, we need to write it inside the select tag. So save it, then let me refresh here. So right now, if you click on submit, first of all, it will show us a message for name. Let's give a name, click on submit. Right now, it will show us error for the email. Let's give the email, click on submit. It will ask us to give the password, then click on submit. There you can see the data is submitted. So if you do not give the full data, then the data won't be submitted. So right now, let me just solve this issue, select a gender. Here you can see by default, it choose select option. So for it, in order to solve it, all you need to do is really simple. We just need to say here for this option, we need to say here value equal to, it will be null. We just give a null entry here. There will be nothing in this value. If we now say, then refresh here. Let me just make it bigger. Let me just give a random name here. Then give a email, give a password. And if we just keep it empty, then click on submit. It will say, please select an item in the list. And right now we need to choose either male or female. So we'll just choose it, then click on submit, and there you can see it says gender equal to male. So let me just show you one more thing, and that is, let me just go back to my code again, and I'm going to show you the input field for text area. And here you can see, let me just talk about this submit button as well. Here you can see by default it says submit. If you want to add different text here, for it you need to say value equal to, you can say anything, let's say login. If we save, then refresh, there you can see it says login. And let me just show you one more thing, that is, let's say in this input field by default you want to have some text. So for it, here you can see this is the input type text for name. So here instead of placeholder, we can say here value equal to, we can say by default, let's say the name will be Yamin. If we now save it, then refresh, it will say by default Yamin. But we normally don't do that. So let me say here placeholder write your name. So let me just talk about text area. Text area basically means a big box where we can write a lot of text. So let me just copy this div from here, and I'm going to paste it here. So this will be, let's say label will be description, and since we are talking about text area, so the tag will be text area opening and text area closing. So we'll say here text area closing like this. And let's say here name equal to, let's only say DES. If we now save it, then refresh, there you can see we have a text area field here, and we can make it bigger or smaller. You can also add a few more function, like if you say here row equal to, if you say 10, then save it, then refresh, there you can see it become a little smaller. If you say here 50, save, then refresh, okay, it will be rows, refresh, and there you can see it become bigger. Let me just say here 30. So if we now save it, then refresh here, there you can see it becomes smaller. So let's say we want to increase the size of the width. So for it, we can say here col, it means column, let's say it will be 50, save, then refresh, there you can see it become bigger. If you say here 10, save it, refresh, there you can see it becomes smaller. So let's say here 40, refresh, and there you can see. So inside this text area you can add random text. Let's say here write a description about yourself. If you now save it, then refresh, there you can see it says this one. So for text area you do not need to add value here. So you can also add placeholder for text area as well. Let me just cut this from here. We can say here placeholder equal to, it will be this one, refresh, there you can see it will say this. You can also add require field over here, then refresh here, and let me just give random data here, select gender, and if we keep it empty and click on login, okay, it will be email@gmail.com. and right now if we just click on login, there you can see it will say please fill this field. So I can just copy this, then paste it here, say random things multiple times, click on login, this time it will be submitted, there you can see. So this is all the basic about HTML. I hope right now you have complete knowledge about HTML. I tried to add everything in this tutorial. If you have any question or if you have any suggestion, just let me know in the comment section, and what type of tutorial I should make in the future, also let me know. I really appreciate that. Make sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you in the future tutorials.